Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Evelyn Prim. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the City of Montpelier, and I'm here today with Mike Miller, the Director of the Planning and Community Development Department. And Mike is going to run through the fiscal year 24 budget for the department. And I am going to share our screen and we'll run through our presentation. All right, take it away, Mike.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Miller, and I'm the Director of Planning for the City of Montpelier. I'll be giving you an overview of both the Planning and Community Development Department, as well as the Building and Code Enforcement. Broadly, planning and community development is responsible for guiding the city through the development of plans and in the implementation of those plans. This means we are responsible for developing short and long-term plans for the city, administering and enforcing land use regulations like zoning, running community and economic development programs, and helping with grant administration and management of projects like the Country Club Road project. The Building and Code Enforcement Department is one of the smallest in the city and plays a key role in protecting the health and safety of the community through administration of building codes, as well as other related codes and ordinances like the Health Code and the Vacant Building Ordinance. As you can see, the planning department has a staff of 3 full-time and 1 part-time person. We have 1 new employee this year, with Josh Jerome replacing Kevin Casey as the Community and Economic Development Specialist. The building inspector is a unique position in the city, and oversight is shared between Fire Chief Bob Gowans and myself. Both of these departments are considered fully staffed, and we are not looking to add any new employees in the foreseeable future. Nearly all of the planning budget is tied to salary. Not shown here are the revenues generated from permits, and with recent fee schedule updates, we are expecting to collect an additional $10,000 this year in revenues, which will offset some of the $35,000 in increased expenses. Overall, we're projecting a 7.4% increase in expenses. Also not shown here is funding for the Housing Trust Fund, which is proposed for level funding at $110,000. How we propose spending this money will be discussed later. The building inspector's budget will be the easiest to review, as it will be going up less than $1,000. On average, building permit fees cover all of the expenses for this department. But since COVID, we have been running a little under operating. We hope this will return to normal in the next year or two. So some of the highlights for 2023 are that we hired a new community and community development specialist and expanded the position to include economic development. The position is now known as the Community and Economic Development Specialist. We also hired a new building inspector and started getting her trained so she can receive her certifications in the winter or early spring. We completed the adoption of a revision of the Unified Development Regulations, which are also known as the zoning, and an update to the river hazard regulations. As mentioned earlier, we updated the fee schedule with council. And following the purchase of the Country Club Road property, we solicited bids to develop a master plan to guide the future development of the parcel. Following the awarding of that contract, the Community and Economic Development Specialist administered that contract and is helping to coordinate the public outreach with the city's communication specialist. Finally, the city was awarded a municipal planning grant to hire a consultant to help with developing the city's new web-based city plan. The contract was awarded to SE Group, and the Planning Commission is currently building out the plan with hopes to roll it out to the public this winter or spring for review. So our plans for 2024, the department has 2 big projects. First is to wrap up the master plan for the Country Club Road property and shift into phase 2, which is preparation. That step will involve rezoning the property, maybe expanding the growth center to include this property, and starting the process of identifying funding and developers to prepare for phase 3, which is implementation. This movement into phase 2, though, costs money. Estimates are that we will need another $250,000 to start infrastructure designs and then pursue permitting. In the tight budget situations that we are in today, staff has recommended using this year's allocation to the Housing Trust Fund, the $110,000, along with economic development funds totaling $100,000, and other sources to reach the $250,000 that is needed. This will not hurt any immediate housing initiatives, as the trust fund currently has more than $200,000 in reserve that are unrestricted. We generally hold about $100,000 for grants for big projects and can spend some money, up to $100,000, on any housing programs that are proposed for the next year. We will need to return to business as usual in FY25, but for this 1 year, spending the new Housing Trust Fund money on the Country Club Road project in order to facilitate housing development in that location appears to be prudent. The second major project is the completion of a complete rewrite of the city plan. This has been in the works since 2017, when the current plan was readopted. This project already has all its funding and is ongoing. So the department works closely with a number of other departments, including the city manager's office. So we have a role to play in many of the city council goals. The department hosts a community and economic development specialist who plays a key role in improving community prosperity and creating more housing. The most direct action here is the work that is going on the Country Club Road property to move that project from plan to preparation to implementation in the next 2 years. The city plan, of course, touches every one of these council goals and will be an 8-year strategic guide for the city as they look to tackle big topics like climate change, affordable housing, and sustainably managing our infrastructure. Regarding the question of unfunded budget requests, the Planning and Community Development and Building Inspection departments are fortunate to have all of our requested items funded. Our only item of note is the reassignment of this year's Housing Trust Fund allocation to the Country Club Road project, which can occur without significant impacts on programs or projects. Thank you, and if you have any questions about this presentation, please contact me, Mike Miller, at mmiller@montpelier-vt.org.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Mike.